Small business is about courage, risk-taking, independence, and we small business owners are survivors. Everybody has an idea for a business, but how do you take that idea from mind to market? This is the place to learn.
Small Business School with Hattie Bryant.
It's a new kind of school. Together we'll learn about business from the inside out, from the people who've done it. We'll meet the men and women who are today's pioneers and quiet heroes. Their lives are the textbooks. Our classroom is the world. Hi, I'm Hattie Bryant. Every few years since our first episode in 1994, we have done a special show about money. It is the one question we receive most often. Where do I find money to start or grow my business? Money is an equation that connects the past with the future. If the future of your business is private and limited, so is the money that is available to you. If that future is public, well-defined, and expansive, you may have many paths to other types of money. Basically, there are two types of money. My own money, we'll call Mom, and other people's money, OPM. Most of us start and grow our companies depending solely on Mom. And there are two types, your personal assets and then the retained earnings generated by your business. Most owners use a creative mix of the two. Let's visit with Saurav Vasugi. He was tired of working for other people. After many discussions with his wife, they sold their home and paid off all their debt. With only $400 in their bank account, he quit his job and they lived on a shoestring while he operated from their kitchen table.
We are really a brand consultancy with our expertise in product development, developing brands in the dimensional spaces. Anything you make, you put it back into business. That's what I used to do. For the first 6 months, and I didn't take a single dime out of business. We had our saving. We got rid of the house.
Right.
We went with one car. We did everything. You sacrifice. There's a saying back home in Persian that says, for 1 year you eat bread and just water.
Bread and water.
Then you can eat bread and butter for the next 10 years. Meaning that you gotta really, make things, it's hard at the beginning.
Right.
If you wanna really make it, you have to sacrifice.
Think long range. That's the mantra of successful small business owners. Ken Duncan quit a high-paying position, sold his home, and lived for 3 years in the bush of Australia. Among the Aboriginals, he hunted for his own food and found beauty at every turn.
How could you be stressed about life when you're sitting there?
Ken Duncan is founder of what today includes 5 galleries and a profitable website that sell his amazing photography. A custom framing company, a publishing house, and one of the most modern printing laboratories in the world.
But really, my whole business started with me having a portfolio and a bag of prints, and I'd knock on doors. And people often say, well, how do you start? And I say, that's how you start. You just knock on doors. And the thing is, out of those doors, you've got to realize it's all about numbers. 1 out of 10's going to say yes, and the other 9 are going to say things like, for a photograph, or you've got to be kidding, but you can't take it personally.
There are so many others. Carol Schroeder, founder of Orange Tree Imports, went through college in 3 years, so her parents gave her the cash they had saved for her 4th year. She used that cash to open her business. Jose Navarro's father escaped Cuba with a life insurance policy worth $4,000. This cash was used to start up what is now the country's most productive chain of pharmacies.
I work in that store during daytime. My father worked at the store during the whole day. When I finished, I went home, ate. My wife cooked, and then my wife and me would go to the store and stay there until the store closes.
So we have an 18-hour day.
Yeah, it was from opening until closing, opening that store and closing this one.
I mean, just the excitement of starting and getting into business.
Grace Sujikawa said she ate a lot of potatoes during her startup. Albert Black funded his business by working a full-time night shift for 10 years while running his business during the day.
It works for me.
Some people with an idea for a business immediately begin thinking about using OPM, other people's money. Getting startup money from a bank is hard, but not impossible. Founder of Tires Plus, Tom Gigax, and his partner, Don Gullett, did it. Where'd the money come from to start the business?
Well, we both worked for Shell Oil Company, so what we did was each take money from our, we had a profit-sharing fund that, you know, when we left them, that came to us. So I remember we had, it was $90,000 it took to get in business. So we had a $60,000 loan, and $30,000 was between us, and I had like $15,500 and he had $14,500, something like that. And getting a loan was the toughest thing, because we went to like 10 banks, and we kept getting turned down. Right. And I think bank number 9, when they turned us down, I said, why? He said, well, you don't have experience at running a business. Right. And I really blew a gasket on him. After such frustration, I said, well, why do they need you? Why don't they just put the stuff in a computer, and each of the things, and one of the dings is if you haven't run a business before, don't even have us come in.
You're out.
And just say, no matter how potentially qualified you are,
right,
you won't get it. So I said, just have this all be computerized, and they really don't need you.
Well, where'd you get the $60,000 if all the banks said no?
Well, finally found one that would. And we found one that would through an attorney that we were doing business with. Some other attorney in the law firm was a kind of finance attorney. So if he was on the board of a bank, and if he believed in you, which he believed in us,
okay,
then he put in a good word on the board, and we got it that way.
So it was a character reference.
Yes.
An insider character reference.
Insider character reference. That's the truth.
You'll be happy to know that in 2000, when Tires Plus was generating $200 million in annual sales, Tom and Don sold to an international conglomerate for double-digit millions. Pamela Rogers borrowed money from her parents for the down payment on a GM dealership in Woodhaven, Michigan. That's other people's money. GM has a program that allows dealers to buy in over time. So Pam put together 2 sources to make it happen, and on top of that, she was willing to invest in a location that had become known as an ugly duckling. A business for sale by an owner who will carry the financing was the perfect opportunity for Lupe Fraga.
The deal is we make your business day easier.
Is the slogan of Lupe's company, Tejas Office Products, which has been operating in Houston since 1961.
I was practicing as an accountant, and Jim Kendig, who had an office supply company, was servicing this company, and he came to me and he asked me if I was interested in going to the office supply business. So being single and just having returned from the United States Army, serving in France, I said, why not? So I took the opportunity. He loaned me some money, co-signed the note at the bank, had a 1 delivery truck and 1 secretary, and that started me off.
Lupe's sales have increased 40% over last year, bringing the total to $7.5 million for the last 12 months.
Many business owners look for and win venture capital or private placements.
Here we go with a big splash.
When Andy Wilson was broke from investing every penny he had into his Boston Duck Tour launch, he was still $1 million short, so he went looking for venture funding.
I was desperate, and I tried to get bank financing, I tried to go to the SBA, all that stuff was gone. So in last desperation, I made phone calls. So I finally got a hold of this woman, and through a partner at an accounting firm, because I called him desperately. I said, you got to help me find. He says, her name's Carrie McIndoe. And he says, her name's all about what she is, Carrie McIndoe. I called my mom up and I said, because I was broke, I said, I need to borrow some money to fly some people out so I can get the last step. And that was in June, and by August they had raised the money for me, $1.25 million. And, you know, they had the contacts, I had the offering memorandum.
All right, so explain to me an offering memorandum. What is it?
Well, an offering memorandum is a legal document that explains your business idea, how you're going to execute it, your financial projections, the legal structure, and it does it in such a way, and also discloses all the risks. In other words, there are inherent risks in any business. You know, I feel like a farmer when the risk was the weather. If it rained for an entire season, I'd go bankrupt, you know?
Right.
So I had the logo on the front of my offering memorandum. You know, it's a big, thick book.
The little duck?
And when I first showed her this, I showed her a picture of the skyline views from the Charles, and she says, Andy, you're all wrong. It's not the logo, and she put the picture of the views right here of Boston on the front of the thing. And I was just telling you about these investors in Maryland. I've been going around because I never met half of these people. And I said, why do you invest? He said, we like the idea, and we saw that picture on the front of the offering memorandum, and then we were sold. We said we knew it would work.
The famous American chef, Thomas Keller, was flat broke when he found the location that is now his one-of-a-kind white tablecloth restaurant, the French Laundry. He pounded the pavement to find cash.
And I said, listen, Bob, I said, I really don't have any money. You know, I just started this olive oil company and da-da-da-da-da.
Would you take a case
would
of
you do
olive?
it on spec? And he said, well, I won't do it on spec, but if you can raise $5,000 as a retainer, I'll do it. So I said, okay. So I went out to all my credit card machines and started.
Oh, you had ATM? You went to the ATM,
ATMs
got
and
some
whatever,
cash?
got some cash, and I
And
gave
you
him
peeled it off?
$5,000. And he did it all on spec. Now, keep in mind also, once this process started, I needed to come up with money to.
Oh my gosh, you haven't
I
even
didn't-
started.
Right.
The 5,000 is nothing.
I said, I don't have any money, Don and Sally, you know, but I'm going to do this. Really, believe me. And they had the confidence too. They had the confidence that I was going to be able to pull it off, and I gave them $5,000
From the ATM machines?
from the ATM machines, from my credit cards. Yeah.
You spent this money and you still
Yeah.
don't have any ownership yet.
I still don't have any ownership. No, it was a big leap of faith for me. It was a big leap of faith for now the attorney. Certainly a big leap of faith for the Schmidts because they're going into a position where now they're going to close their restaurant because they believe that I'm
Right.
going to buy it. And
So they're going to lose opportunity.
they're going to lose opportunity. They're going to lose revenue.
And you're going to cause them to lose that opportunity if you don't come through.
Yeah, but everybody believes that it's going to happen.
Do you think your other two failures, the one at 21 and then the one in Palm Beach and then the one in New York, did that teach you that, did that give you courage?
It gave me a lot of confidence because I had been through it before.
It's like,
Now this
you
was
lived-
but I'd been through it with other people's money before, so that was a little easier. So fortunately, my attorney had a base group of people because he had done this for other restaurateurs that we started sending him to. I sent him out to people that I had known, Bob, Michael, my two initial contacts.
so the attorney went on your behalf.
My attorney went on my behalf to a few of his core group of people that he thought might invest in a restaurant. And I just started making cold calls to people. And I'd ask you, do you want to invest? No, I don't want to invest. Well, do you know somebody who would? Well, maybe this person. And before you know it, you're talking to people that you don't even know. And you wake up in the morning and you have a list of 10 people that you want to call. And sometimes I'd get through 3 of them. Sometimes I would get through all 10 of them because it was a good day and I had 2 people that wanted me to send them to prospectus. They're not even saying they want to invest. They're just saying, okay, send me the document, let me take a look at it, and then call me back in
Thomas,
2
you're
or 3
selling.
weeks.
You're selling.
I'm selling.
You're not being
Yeah.
a chef.
No.
You're not cooking. You're selling.
No, the bank gave us a real estate loan. The SBA gave us a business loan.
All right.
And then the investors came up with the rest.
With the rest.
Right.
Okay. So you have 3 separate, but how many investors?
48.
48 individual
48 investors. My philosophy there was to have a lot of investors investing a small amount of money.
So no one would.
No one,
if it
no
would
one,
be
no,
feel
no one,
better.
right? No one would lose a lot if the business went
Okay.
failure, and no one could tell me what to do.
Growing your business is a very different story. Sometimes our visions of the future are bigger than our personal assets and our retained earnings. That's when some OPM, other people's money, has to come in. Here's a bolt of lightning to do business with bankers, learn to speak their language. Tim Hennessy's Ekwil has grown to be the world's largest producer and shipper of freshwater tropical fish, distributing approximately 120 tons of livestock by air cargo every month.
We paid off all our creditors.
The shrimp business.
The shrimp business, right. And we put together a bunch of business plans and proposals to different venture capital companies and different investors and that type of thing. A lot of them, I'm talking 12, 15 over some period of time. At this time, Sherry and I were living in a parking lot up in Tampa. Our joint income that year was under $2,400. What we were able to do, again, we were pretty broke and we really didn't have any assets either, is put together a series of notes. We found a fish farm. It was an old tropical fish farm. It wasn't very big, but it had a good earnings record. It was a good small business for this one guy. By this time, we had done lots of business plans and lots of proposals, and we had experience in the aquatic farming industry. We knew how to raise some kinds of fish. So we were able to put down, he wanted 20% down and owner finance the rest. Pretty standard deal. So the trouble is how to come up with a 20% down.
Yeah, when you're living in a parking lot.
Right. And
what
then,
banker is going to give you a loan when you're living in a parking lot?
And then there's working capital too that it takes to get things going. So we were able to put together a series of 3 debt instruments, 3 notes that were secured by assets that came along with the farm that we had not purchased yet. So with a stroke of a pen, we executed all these debt instruments at the same time and were able to buy the farm with no cash. So we literally started the business with $5.
Like Tim, Frank Zhao, founder of Bridge Creek Development, learned how to create the documentation the bankers need. To find a sample of the type of document the banker wanted him to prepare, Frank actually searched the bank's dumpster one night. He found one that had been approved, plugged in his own numbers and projections, and he got the loan. So you owned the land?
Right.
That's all you had, though?
Right. Even buying the land, I would still need a loan because $50,000 doesn't buy the land.
Wasn't enough. Okay.
Right.
All right. So what did you do?
I approached the bank anyway, and the bank basically told me that there isn't enough ingredient here that they can give me a loan of $3 million.
That's what you wanted? You wanted $3 million?
Well, that's what it takes.
Okay. That's what it took then. Takes more now, but that's what
Right.
it took then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have to ask him, give me your list. Give me a requirement list and I'll go back and fulfill it. In one of the lists would be a feasibility study and a loan package. I found out that a feasibility study at that point, at that time, we can bring in a consultant to do that and pay them. Mm-hmm. So that solved the problem. Then we need to put a loan package together. A loan package normally being charged by the loan broker back in those days for a considerable amount of money. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't ready to do that, and I couldn't even afford that.
Right.
So I have to figure out a way how to do the loan package myself.
How long did it take you then to go back to that same banker who told you no and say, okay, here's my stuff?
About 3 weeks in total.
3 weeks. So now you've been in this country 5 years, 6 years, and you've just gotten a $3 million loan.
That was the first loan I ever had at the time. And it was just amazing. I couldn't believe it.
In the business world, there are also angels. These angels provide either debt or equity capital. If it's debt capital, they may give you money quicker, sometimes cheaper, and with fewer strings attached than a bank. If it's equity capital, they'll want a return on investment within a fixed period of time. Sometimes angels are moved by the type of product or service you are selling. We've known many who are recipients of angel funding. Deborah St. Clair found her angel by attending a convention. This is Deborah St. Clair, the inventor of organic sweets and founder of the company Eco Natural. What is a socially responsible company?
It's a company that has a mission statement that keeps it in line with things that are good for the planet. So, a socially responsible company. Let me just tell you how ours is socially responsible. I use ingredients in my product that I feel comfortable giving to my own children. The base of our product, organic molasses granules, is better than refined white sugar. Again, you ask me, what about Altoids is different? They use white sugar, they use beef gelatin, I use organic molasses granules. It's a totally vegetarian product. So I made myself a niche in that respect. How could I be different with a strong, powerful breath mint?
Why did you invest in this company?
There were several things that really were interesting. Number one, I came from a background, my father was a chiropractor, and we were raised on natural foods and that sort of thing. And the foods always tasted awful. I was very excited about supporting a product that was good for you and also tasted good.
People who believe in you are very, very important. And to be able to tell your story in such a way that you can communicate that you're going to stay with it until it's done is very important. And if you're not sure that you can do that, then don't take your investors in.
Fred Hoare and Hans Severance are in Silicon Valley's famous Band of Angels. They believe that the OPM angel supply is oxygen to entrepreneurship.
What's an angel? An angel is a person who invests with his own money, makes his own decisions.
Why don't you just do the conservative thing, buy, IBM, General Motors?
Oh, but that isn't any fun.
It's boring.
It's boring.
People can come to us who might not be getting a hearing or a fair evaluation in their eyes from the venture community.
All right, so tell me how to prepare to come to you. I mean, do I need a cool name like Pretty Good Privacy? I mean, that's a company you just invested in recently. Pretty Good Privacy.
You need a cool idea. Yes. It would be nice if you have a discernibly cool management. It would be great if you had a measurably cool business plan with a reasonable prospect of becoming a leader in a growth market.
We've already done programs about the small corporate offering registration. Please read on our website about this process for taking your company public without going to Wall Street. But if you want to go to Wall Street, you can. Andy Murstein's Small Business Investment Corporation, Medallion Financial, raised $50 million in its initial public offering.
Well, you need a good story. I mean, as funny as that sounds, you really need people. Not only do you have to believe in it, which is very important, you have to have a passion for what you do because people could see if you're serious about it and if you really have the heart to go out and grow your business. So you need the passion, you need people to believe in you and to also share that passion. So every cycle there's a different wave of companies that basically Wall Street becomes enamored with. Again, it's jumping on the bandwagon when the timing's right. You could have the greatest company in the world, and if the timing's not right, you're not going to be able to raise money. When we went public, again, we raised $50 million. The next year, we did not need the money, but our stock had gone up 50%. So everybody said it's a good time to go out and raise money. Try to get money again when they don't really need it, because sometimes banks and other lenders are willing to lend you money if times are good, if the economy is doing well, and even though you don't need it, take it and reserve for a rainy day. Again, when we raised the $50 million, the next year we obviously didn't need the money, but our stock had gone up 50%, so we went out and raised another $50 million because investors were clamoring for more of the stock, and we gave it to them. Then 2 years later, we went out and raised a third tranche of $50 million. We didn't really need the capital, but again, the economy was good, our stock was doing very well, so that's the time to go out and get a loan. We bought 15 companies since you last saw us 7 years ago. When you saw us last, the portfolio was about $200 million. Today we manage over $600 million. So we just took the money and bought companies and lent it to small businesses.
So, what is money? It's an equation where the past reaches into the future. To start a business or grow the one you have, money can appear to be a huge obstacle. But you've just seen many creative, tenacious people who could see the future so clearly they were able to work with their own assets and make the inherent value of that money grow. You must, however, have a great idea, and as Andy Murstein said, a good story to tell. And you have to have MOM, my own money. Then once you have that skin in the game, move on to OPM, other people's money. There's a lot to go around. We'll see you next time.
Small Business School with Hattie Bryant.
If you want to learn more about starting, running, and growing a business, come to our website, smallbusinessschool.org. There's streaming video and interactive study guides. The only way we can compete with big business is to be faster, smarter, and better. We are the engine of the American economy. We create the jobs. Small business is about big commitment. It's about sacrifice and struggle. But we do it because we say, if I don't do this, my life won't be complete.